everyone. Welcome back to Web Squadron. I'm Imran Siddiq. We are now live. It's 8 o'clock, and welcome back to our second live chat. Please do join in. You have the opportunity on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter as well, and some other places as well to join in. Please ask your questions, anything you want to know. Well, within website world, Elementor and WordPress and things like that. But ask us any questions, and we're happy to answer them. I mean, our details are below, so do send us an email as well. I'm sure there will be people here who were on last week. They did pose us questions during the week, and we did answer them with either further videos or further guidance on Elementor and how to get the best out of it. Now, the focus for today's live chat, and we are here for 1 hour, and I have got my Pepsi Max here. I am not affiliated to them to keep me hydrated. It's all about don't let your website rot. And it sounds quite aggressive, doesn't it? Don't let your website rot. What do you mean by that? It's just a website. It's not going to go out of date. It's not going to self-combust on its own. But what I mean is, when you've created a website and you've put a lot of time into it, or your has, and it's now out there, you've launched, right? You've gone live. It's now out there in the stratosphere, the atmosphere, whatever. You could, if you want, just leave it. Let's say you've got a shop, you've put on 100 products, all you care about is the profit coming in and out, and when items are low stock, and you leave it. You just wait to see, does it generate you money? Or maybe you're using a website to advertise your services, and you're hoping that it's going to generate leads. You just leave it out there. You've done your SEO, you've done your rank map, you've done your Google submission, you've done Google My Business, which is free. Go onto Google My Business, get your business on there. You've done all of that, you leave it. The danger is that when you do that, when you have a website which is built, say, with Elementor on a particular theme, with certain plugins, there is a danger that at some point there could be a bit of conflict or incompatibility. It won't always be your fault. It might be that WordPress has automatically updated itself, like the latest version that was 5.8 that came in. And I'm just going to overlay the chat for a moment as well, because I think it's just so that I can see if any messages pop through. Hey, John Boyd's just said hello. How are you doing, John? Good to see you again. And Mark Newman as well. Haven't seen him for a while, actually. Good to see you, Mark. So your website could update itself like 5.8. There were a lot of people when version 5.8 came out for WordPress about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Their host automatically updated WordPress, and it caught some of them off guard. It didn't affect people that much, but there was some where it had an impact on their theme or a bit of Elementor or some other plugin they had. And the danger is that if you just leave your website to just run on its own, potentially there could be someone out there who goes to your website and they're going to get an error. And the error could be the page does not load up. Or the page loads, but it takes 20 seconds to load up. And you know how they say you have 3 seconds to make an impact on someone, for them to stay on your website, to give a damn, to want to purchase, to get a lead off you, to contact you? Well, imagine how they feel if they go to your website and the shop page doesn't load up. Or there's a recent update with Astra or Elementor, and suddenly you've got a shop, and say on the mobile, you're showing a column with 2 products on your mobile phone. On the mobile, you'll have 2 columns, product, 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 product underneath. Or on a desktop, you've got 4 products in a row, and suddenly it goes wrong. Now you've got 1 column, and the image is really massive, or the text has turned into some ridiculous text. Something's gone really, really majorly wrong. You're going to lose customers, right? They're not going to come back to you. Now, we've got to be honest here. There are times when there are other big websites out there like Apple, Next, River Island, Microsoft. You go to their website and it's really, really slow, right? Or there's a bit of an issue. Something doesn't look right. Because they are major brands, we kind of let them off a little bit, don't we? So if you went on to apple.com and you wanted to buy a MacBook computer, you really, really want it, and the page took 30 seconds to load up, I don't think you'd care. You'd probably just sit there and wait for it. You'd probably blame someone else in your house for eating up your Wi-Fi. Get off the Wi-Fi, I need to buy the MacBook. Right? But if you're not a big brand like them, you're going to lose. So I have written notes. If you see me looking down and looking up, it's because I want to make sure I cover a lot of things here. So it's really important that you start to review your website. And I recommend you do this as much as you can. Not every day, not every week, but at least once a month. So what I would say you do is always take into account your plugins. So I'm just going to quickly share the screen, and it will look something like this when we share the screen. There we go. Let me just put myself side by side and just take the chat overlay off. Cool. Right, let me just swap myself over here. Mind screen, mind camera. There you go. Right, let me just make sure I'm in the camera. Right, so we have over here some plugins that we use on our testing website, the Web Squadron. And this is the website that we tend to use whenever we are doing our YouTube videos. And we have on here at the moment 12 plugins. These are the plugins I tend to use when I'm testing things. And you can clearly see here that Elementor Pro, there is a new updated version, 3.3.5. I could, if I want, hit update now. Okay. I tend to wait 2 to 3 weeks because usually if the update has an issue with any other plugin I got, it will have been ironed out in 2 to 3 weeks' time. I don't update instantly. But because of all these plugins on here, at some point in time, one of these plugins, I'm going to get a message that says, this is incompatible with the current version of Elementor that you're using. Now, you could just hit update and go, I don't care. Hit update. Bad move. You do that, and there's a chance your website's going to go down or stop working. But what I'm trying to get over here is that when you start to look at your plugins, okay, take account if any of them are now due for an update. So here's one. WooCommerce PayPal payments down here. There is a new version of this available. Update now. Now, I could hit update now, and it's not going to break my website because this is just a testing website, and I'm not selling anything at the moment. But if I was you and you had a shop, and this option now became available, my massive, massive recommendation to you is this. Create a staging website. Okay, so we use SiteGround. SiteGround, some people like it, some people don't. We love their customer service. Okay, we love SiteGround. We would go to our SiteGround server, and it is so easy. You log into SiteGround, you go to your website, and what you do is you click staging site. You click it, it takes 2 minutes, it creates an entire copy of your website. Here's the original, here's the copy, right? I would update the plugin on the staging copy. And then I would check the website. Is it all okay? Does everything function fine? I haven't lost anything? Cool. Then I would click a button which now says, convert the staging one to be a live website. It's literally instant. It goes, whoop. You'll just copy it over, and Bob's your uncle, auntie, friend, neighbor, whatever. You're all good to go. Because if you did this without a staging site and suddenly this plugin that I've just updated suddenly made the website go, conflict, incompatible plugin, error, error, error. Customer out there who might be looking at your website right now is going to see a blank screen. And then you're going to panic. You're going to try and sort out the issue on your website. So let me just get rid of this screen again. How do I stop this? How do I stop this? Stop sharing. There we go. Right. So it's always good to use a staging site. It's also really important you keep a backup as well. Okay. SiteGround do a daily backup for us. Most hosting providers do. Double check if you haven't already. There are facilities and plugins like Updraft. There's other ones out there as well. Most of them you got to pay for. Sites for free. 123 Reg do it for free. I think GoDaddy do it for free as well. One.com, IONS, they all do it for free. I'm not recommending them, by the way. I'm not going to say go use Bluehost, but please make sure you've got a backup. Because, if you forget to do a staging site and you hit update and then your website goes down, I can quickly go to SiteGround, pull up a backup from the day before, and I'm back to normal. The problem with a backup, though, is that if I've had any customers buy anything today, I probably won't see those purchases in my orders now because it will overwrite the database as well. But have a think about what's good for you. But I would recommend that if you've got lots of plugins and you've got a theme like Hello or Astra or anything like that, don't just let the system automatically update all the time. Some of these plugins I don't really care about, okay? I've got images to WebP, ping to JPEG. They're fine to update. But some key ones like Elementor Pro, anything relating to WooCommerce, I will not let them update unless I've tested them and I'm happy for that to happen. It's just self-security and sanity, really. This one often gets left right to the end, and we touched on it last week quite a bit. Page speed insights. Okay, so your website's launched, you've gone on to Google or Page Speed Insights, you've checked your mobile and your desktop score. Okay, you might be hitting 95% for the mobile, and you kind of go, "Yay, I'm really happy." You run around, you do, a Mexican wave, everything is good. 2 weeks down the line, your score could drop. Okay, your score could drop to like 60%. And you might be thinking, well, why's that happened? And because you've not changed your website. So why has my score gone down? It could be a problem with your server. And if you're regularly hitting 50, 60% whenever you do a page speed insight check, I would go back and speak to your host and say, hey, what's going on here? Why is the score going down? Because it could well be literally down to the fact that your server, your host, is slowing up. Shared hosting, it can happen. And because if your score is low, and a lot of people are on the fence about this, it will affect, sorry, I should say it could affect, but it will affect your Google rankings, right? So start thinking about your page speed insights. Don't just do it when you've built the site and go away. Do it regularly. Our website, Web Squadron, and this staging website we have, I test it every 2 days. Why? I'm not an obsessive compulsive person. However, I do think it's quite important to do. Let me just put this back up here just so you got details. I do think it's important to test. Okay, so don't do it once and forget about it. Okay, when you're on, okay, you've done your rank math, you've done your site engine optimization, keywords, right? Start to have a look at what your competitors are ranking for. So you might go in and you might say, okay, I'm going to search for skiing equipment, okay? Because you're a skiing store, okay? And where do you rank? And you might be ranking like 11 in Google. Look at your competitors that are ranking 1, 2, and 3. Look at their homepage. That's a big clue, by the way. Go to their homepage. Look at their headline statement. Look at their first couple of paragraphs in the text and look at, do you notice any keywords related to skiing that are popping up? Because you might want to review your rank math keywords. By the way, we use rank math. We don't use Yoast SEO just because rank math is much more better integrated with Elementor at the moment. But do review your keywords, okay? Again, don't just do it and then leave it because keywords change. What was a keyword 20 years ago is not as important now. Did you know in 2000 and most searched keyword was Britney Spears? Did you know that? Because I was doing a law degree at the time, and then we were doing computer law, and we were looking at the keywords. Britney Spears. Britney Spears is no longer the most major keyword now. I don't want to say it's keeping up with the Kardashians. I really don't want to say that, or Love Island or something like that, but it's going to be something totally different. What are the keywords that relate to your niche that are important now? And if there's a new keyword that you need to consider, well, get it into your website. You might need to change your headline. You might need to change your opening paragraph. I changed our Google snippet, the meta snippet description that you have on Google when you search for someone. I changed that 2 weeks ago. So when we first launched our website back in middle of June, once we launched Web Squadron, some of the keywords were elemental courses. And I started to realize that was a little bit too generic. So we've now changed it to be optimizing performance with Elemental. Because in a way, that's kind of one of our niche areas in what we do. We're an Elemental expert. Did you know that? We're on the Elemental experts group. Go and have finders. We've got the badge of honor now, so we can help you with your SEO and your performance and things like that. So we need to be promoting that more. Find what is your key niche and get that into your keywords. What if your website becomes really, really popular? You've launched, and all of a sudden, you're getting like 20, 30 hits a day. And then it starts to grow 100 a day. And at some point, you're hitting 1,000. Some of you out there, in fact, some of my clients, I know this, okay, with the hosting, they want to go for the cheapest option ever. I know so many businesses that have used GoDaddy. I have nothing against GoDaddy. GoDaddy! I won't use them, but I got nothing against them. I lie. No, I haven't got anything against them. A lot of people go for GoDaddy because they're told, hey, you can have a website for £1 a year, £1 for your domain. And then you realize you've got to pay a bit more for SSL and other things. But let's say you're with GoDaddy, the basic hosting. How many inodes are you allowed? What is your RAM? What is your gigabyte of storage? What is your bandwidth? And right now you're saying, I am not a rock band. What do you mean bandwidth? I'm not a roadie. Okay, let's break it down. Your bandwidth is going to kind of be like, how much can the website and your server take with the amount of hits you're getting? How many times have you gone on the internet, gone to a website, and you have a message, white screen of death, black text, and it says, bandwidth has been exceeded. Please contact the server. And you're thinking, well, I just want to get onto the website. Why has the owner not contacted the server? That's usually where the owner has done the cardinal mistake that I'm telling you about. They've released the website and they've gone off and forgotten about it. If you exceed your bandwidth, your website will go down. No one can access it until you go in and start deleting things, or you go on to a more expensive package with your host or server. Okay, your inodes. Did you know that every time you add in a plugin, even when you've deactivated and deleted it, you've still taken up some inodes? Inodes are these little bits and bytes that sit in the back end of your server, right? With SiteGround, with one of the packages, we get 400,000 inodes. Brain explosion. It's like I have the whole of Cybertron on the server. 400,000 inodes. That server currently has 32 websites on it. We've already hit 89% of those inodes. Only 2 of those websites are WooCommerce shops, e-commerce. The rest are just standard, basic websites. 2, 3, 4 pages. Nothing fancy, simple websites, right? But we've already nearly hit 88, 89% of our inodes. Every time you load a plugin, deactivate a plugin, it doesn't matter. It will still have taken up space. You've loaded in an image, right? When you add an image to WordPress, it will do a thumbnail, medium, large, super large, WebP, all of these little sizes, okay? When you add content, it takes up an inode. And believe it or not, some of the most basic websites we've built, I mean, one-page website, right? That's got nothing but Elementor Pro, okay, a couple of optimization plugins, and that's it. That's taken up 9,000 inodes. Just so if you've gone for a really cheap hosting package and now your website is growing, especially if you're a shop, if you've only got 10 products, you can get away with it. You got 500, no. You got 10,000, and you're going to sit there going, who the heck has 10,000? I had someone who wanted to use one.com, and they, sorry, they wanted to go for one of the basic packages, which was about £3 a month. And they got this much bandwidth and this much inodes and storage. And they were planning to have over 2,000 products. And I said to them, you really need to start going for a cloud hosting. You need to go to like the 60, 70 pounds a month. And they were like, why? Why do I want to do that? It's just a page. It's just an image, just a bit of text. But they totally overlooked all of the inodes you're going to take up with the product, the description, the pricing, and all of these things. So please do think about the traffic you're getting to your website and how busy it is. And that links into the next thing about the traffic, Google Site Analytics, okay? And I hope that either you're doing it via your host server, because they sometimes give you some metrics, don't they? How many visitors have you had? How unique were they? How long are they on your website? What pages are they visiting? Were they going to some products more than others? You should be looking at this. You need to be analyzing this if you have got a shop website. So your Google Site Analytics is going to kind of start to show you, are you suddenly going up, kind of thing. Um, so if you are becoming more popular, just bear in mind, have a look at your hosting server and what's happening there. Okay. Like we said, Google Site Analytics, that's going to give you a lot more information, and it will allow you to understand, do we need to do something about it? Staying on Google Site Analytics, are there certain pages they're going to more, and are they converting? Because if you're a shop, you want them to purchase. What are they purchasing more? Are they going towards the products that are linked to what you advertised on your homepage? If you're not a shop, maybe you want them to get to your contact form and contact you. Maybe you're selling a course. Are they purchasing courses? So you got to start thinking about the magnets on your page. Have you hooked them in? Are they sticking there? And then where do they go after that? Okay, so you do have to think about a lot of things after you've launched. I'm not trying to scare anyone here. This should be kind of like one of the action plans that whoever produced or worked on your website should be sharing with you. If anyone out there is just creating your website and they're not talking to you about a social media plan or how to advertise or how to generate interest using social media or just posting or blog posting, how to get backlinks. I'm going to come on to that, okay? How to increase the authority of your domain. I would question if they're just there just to create your website. Or do they really care about you growing as a business as well? No, I've said Google Analytics. Yes, yeah. Do think about the security of your website as well, because the more popular you become, the more likely you are to be attacked by bots or spam emails or spam comments or people that just start to hack into your site. So Elementor, about a short while ago, released the new Elementor Hub. And I hope you're part of that if you're watching this. If not, please join. Go to elementor.com, click on the drop-down community, make sure you're logged in and join. We've got the Elementor Facebook group, but the Elementor Community Hub is for a lot more useful information. Okay, and I'm there. I'm there all the time. I live there. I don't really live there, but I'm there. So come and find me on there. But they released that, and it's become really popular. They've already got, I think, close to 9,000 people using that now. 100,000 on the Facebook group, already nearly 9,000 in just a couple of weeks on the new Elementor community. That's major. I started noticing something today. Some people go on and they're just spamming like mad. When I mean spamming, they're just going on and they're not even leaving a comment. It's just dot, 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 dot. They're not even writing anything sensible. And the more popular your website becomes, that could start to happen to you. So you need to think about the security of your website. And everyone's heard of Askimet. There's lots of other plugins out there, WordFence, things like that, things you can pay for. But do check with your host server. Do they provide any inbuilt security for your website? Don't just go, well, I've got SSL. No, that's just the site security certificate. That's not a secure website. So just have a think about your security as well. Because when you've become popular, what you don't want is to get attacked, hacked, malware, something happens to your website, and then you got to go down. Because when you're up, you don't want to go down. All right, you want to try and maintain some sort of you want to maintain a constant. Okay, you don't want variables to attack you. Okay, because any variables are going to knock your constant off the scale. Okay, so be careful of that, and do speak to your host if you want. They should be. Most hosts out there should be providing some level of security already. They try and get you to pay for it, but it should already be part of the server they've got for you there. Google Search Console, if you haven't done it already, make sure you've submitted your website there. As part of Rank Map, you've got to go through a process where you do submit to Google Search Console. Google Search Console it's a bit like Google Site Analytics. However, Google Search Console is how you submit to Google. Submit sounds like you're just bending over in it, but you're going to submit to Google, okay? You're going to let them index your website and crawl your website, okay? That's how you get into the rankings, basically. Make sure you've done that, because that will highlight if there's ever an issue with your website. So right now, your website is green. Everything is perfect. 2 weeks down the line, Google might send you a message in your email and they'll say, via Search Console, we have now discovered that the content on your page under today's laws of the internet are too close. Your buttons are too small. And you might be going, but it was all right 2 weeks ago. Why all of a sudden is it not okay? It doesn't really matter or make sense why it's not okay. It's telling you go and sort it out. Because the longer you leave it unattended, the more likely it is that Google will penalize you and shove you down the rankings. The Google Search Console, you had to have done it if you use Rank Math. I am not affiliated to Rank Math. I am not affiliated to Elementor. I make nothing of them. I am not affiliated to Pepsi Max, the best drink in the world. But I'm telling you, make sure you're on Google Search Console, okay? Because when you start to review your website in terms of the content, you're more likely to find a typo. I do it all the time. And when I find a typo, I get really mad with myself. I love to do creative writing. I love to be perfect. I'm not perfect. None of us are. But I make typos all the time. I can't help it. And I hate it when it happens. But what you don't want to do is have a typo on your website, in your Google description, on your headline, just anywhere. Because when I go to a website and I see a typo, I'm a little bit forgiving. One or two, I forgive. If they've got a page of content, there's one or two typos, I kind of go, nah, it happens. Some websites, and anyone here who goes to the Elementor Facebook group, when people say, hey, look at my website, and you go on and it is riddled with typos, I kind of just go, right, you've lost me, okay? You can't even spell Elemental correctly. Get out of it. So, again, think about, I'm forgiving, you might be too, but your audience maybe are not so forgiving, right? They might go, no, why should I contact this consultant and give them my time if they can't get some of these things right? And you might say, well, it's only a typo, for God's sake. I know it's only a typo, but it could be other errors. It could be a pricing error. It could be the quality of your images. Your images were perfect 2 weeks ago, but all of a sudden, they've gone blurry. Why are they blurry? I didn't touch them. Maybe it's one of your plugins. It's automatically updated. It's gone and done something weird, maybe. Maybe there's something wrong with your host. Your host is taking longer to generate the first byte. Time to first byte, TTFB. Okay, write that down right now. Go on, create a tattoo on your hand, TTFB, time to first byte. If your server's a bit slow, it could start to have an impact on images and other things on your website. So do review that, because I said I'm forgiving on typos, but a blurred image, yeah, that grates me a lot, especially when the image looks completely wrong on the mobile. It's like you ignored the mobile. Too many people build for the desktop and they go, who cares about the mobile? If they're going to look at it, they'll look at it on a desktop. No. Put the time in and get it right. We covered a lot of this last week with the mobiles. Comments. This links into the spam bit that I've already said. Okay, make sure you go through your WordPress settings. You go down to WordPress, you go down to settings, you go down to, I have totally forgot the setting now. You go down to the reading or the discussion setting to decide if you're going to have comments on your website or not. How are you going to moderate that? Are you doing it? Someone else doing it? Is it that no comments are present until you have approved them? Which can be a bit safe sometimes, unless you're quite open to people saying whatever they want to say. I mean, how do some of these websites out there get away with it? Comingsoon.net. I go on it every night just to see what the latest movie is, what's happening with Star Wars and Marvel and other wonderful things. But the comments that come on there are quite troll-like and horrendous sometimes. And I do feel like, what if there's a 15-year-old who's reading this about the new Spider-Man movie and they see these comments? Moderate them, please. Okay, sorry, comments. Why am I talking about comments? Your website's out there. You're getting some visitors. Hey, hi, James. just gonna show this message because James has just said hello. Where's my mouse? Where's my mouse? Let's just do this here. I'm doing okay, James. Thank you for joining in. And please do, any questions you've got, please do ask. Okay? So your website's out there, you're starting to get some traction, but you're not doing too well in the Google rankings. And when you go to Google and you look at your domain authority, okay, there is someone out there called Neil Patel, Neil, Neil Patel, okay? Go to his website. He's got a link where you can download a domain authority checker for your Google Chrome, okay? What does that mean? Whenever I do a search on Google now and a website comes up, it's going to tell me the domain authority. Is the domain authority important? Yeah, it is super important. It kind of has an impact on where you rank. Let's say we've got 10 websites, all to do with Spider-Man. The ones that are ranking higher, closer to 100, are going to be at the top. The one that has 0 or 1, it's going to be right at the bottom. So where do you want to be? Do you want to be here, or do you want to be up here? You know, flying over these skyscrapers. You want to be up there, right? One of the ways you can increase your domain authority, some of it will happen by luck. I have to be honest about that. A lot of it will be down to backlinks. So one of the things that I did quite early on, and I still do it now and again, is if I see a post I like, one of the Elementor posts. I mean, you do know this, don't you? Elementor, they do blog posts. Ben Pines, he does loads. Verdi does them. Go to elementor.com, go to their blog. If there's a post you like, don't just do it to any post. Do it to one you like, okay? One that relates to your niche or something you're good at. Put a comment in, right? Once you put a comment in, if you go in and put in your email address, and some websites out there allow you to put in your web address as well, this is important. When you do that, it can create a backlink back to your website, okay? And if you start to do this on websites where you leave a comment or a post, and a good comment, by the way, you know, don't just put something ridiculous. Oh, this was really good. No, do something a bit more meatier. It will start to help your backlinks. So review your backlinks. Sorry, I'll explain this very well. Review some of the comments and blog posts out there and start to create a backlink, you know, by putting your web address in as well. And invite people. So you do a blog post, invite people to come over to your website as well. Do you want to comment on this? So we got contacted 3 days ago by someone who wrote a post about service speeds, and he asked about 10 other people. There's more than 10, but it's about 10. Could they also leave a review on his blog post? So I agreed to it. Now, what did that mean for me? It meant my photo, it meant my web address, it meant my email address, and I got to do like a couple of paragraphs about hosting and optimization and things like that. What's important when you decide on which host you're going to go with? For us, well, their website has got pretty good domain authority. It's going to have a knock-on impact onto us. Likewise, we've got a pretty good domain authority now. It's growing. It will have an impact back to them as well. So there is a little bit of a tit for tat going on here. You scratch my back, I'll kick yours, you know, that kind of thing. But do think about backlinks as well. And one of the other things, okay, that really massively catches people out is you've done an Elementor form, you've tested it, and it seems to be working. But if you don't regularly check your contact forms, and I would say do it maybe once a week, just go in and do a fake contact message back to yourself, just to check you get the message. Sometimes WordPress can fall over with sending emails. It's the most annoying bug like ever. This bug was around when I first started using WordPress. It must have been about 12 years ago now. It was a bug back then, and it used to get on my nerves, and they still haven't really fully sorted it out. So what I mean is, someone completes a form, they hit send, they get an error message. And the error message just says, this can't be sent. And they're probably going to give up after 1 or 2 goes. You probably don't even know they did that. unless they contact to let you know they tried by some other forms or means. So you could be losing customers because your contact form doesn't work. This problem isn't anything to do with Elementor, all right? When this occurs, a lot of people go, oh, Elementor, the form is not working. Sort it out. It's not Elementor, it's WordPress, okay? And some hosts, based on how the WordPress installation is done, because you don't really see it, it just happens, you don't get that problem. SiteGround never has that problem. Bluehost sometimes have the problem. GoDaddy sometimes have the problem. One.com, I shouldn't say always, because I don't want to get myself in trouble. They have a problem now and again, more than 50%, okay? So depending on your server, you might not have this issue. But what I'm getting at is that if you don't test and you're not always checking that your contact forms are functional, you're losing people. And if that ever happens, the easiest way to fix it is to install a plugin called Post STMP. Post, as in Postman Pat, P-O-S-T, Post, STMP, right? You install that. It's a free plugin, okay? You go back to wherever your email is functioning or where it was created. So with SiteGround, I would go back to SiteGround. If it was one.com, you would go to one.com. You would go to your email setting, and it will tell you what is the ingoing and what is the outgoing server and what is the port. And you're probably going, oh, this is too much. Don't worry, it's pretty simple. There'll be a line there, okay? Ingoing, outgoing server, and the port. Get those details. You go to Post STMP on WordPress. It's a plugin in your WordPress site. You put in the details. You will then put in the username and password for that email, okay? Because you obviously must be accessing that email somehow, somewhere. And what it will do, it will create this imaginary, like, force field portal through time and space and create the connection between the two. I can't dramatize it any better than that. But basically, this client I had who was using one.com, no email worked, okay? Nothing on the directory website worked in terms of contact. We did that, it all worked. Except when they changed the password, and they did not tell me they changed the password, and it all went down. And I spent 2 hours trying to sort it out. And in the end, I said, did you change your password? And they were like, yeah. So I was like, you must put the right password in, otherwise it stops working. But anyway, look, you do have to think about that. So we've spent about 37 odd minutes going over some of the things I would say that you are very likely to overlook. Got a question, come on, I'm just going to show it up here. I'll answer this in a moment. So there's lots of things that you can easily overlook, okay? However, don't do that. Don't just release your website and then walk on off into the sunset and think, hey, it's all done. I'm going to make tons of money. I'm sorted. No, do the review. And if you have a developer or you have a maintenance package with a designer or a developer, get them to do it. I mean, they should be doing it for you, in my opinion. You know, they might charge extra for it. It might be an analytical service, but get them to just check the website's functioning well, make sure things aren't falling over, make sure things are still working. So we'll just look at this question here from Jan. I hope I pronounced that right, Jan. I like Fluent. Yeah, SMTP as well. There are, I mean, that is another good plugin as well. Yeah, with the logs, multi-email service providers. I mean, you know, there's so many ways you can do it. And you know, I would say that go with what's good. Go, you know, I would say test. Don't install 5 or 6 of them and cause your system to self-combust. But go with the ones that you know are worth using, or after you speak to people. So Jan, by the way, Jan, or a developer, or are you someone who's just getting dirty and making your websites yourself? You know, please do just tell us a bit more about you and what you do. So, you know, if people want to, if anyone out there hasn't used Fluent SMTP, maybe they can talk to Jan about it as well. So, like I said, almost 40 minutes now, we've kind of touched on a lot of things that I think you should consider. with your website once it's out there. Don't just leave it to rot. Okay, make sure you maintain it. Treat it like a baby. It is your baby, right? It is your brand. I mean, why did you do it? I mean, come on, let's be honest here, okay? Let's put all the cards on the table, everyone. Why did you create the website? You did not create it because you just wanted to be kind to the world. Except if you're a charity, you probably are going to try and be kind to the world, aren't you? So scratch that. But you did it because you were either trying to increase your self profile, something about you, get yourself out there. You wanted to generate some side income or your main income. You know, you're trying to retire early from your current job, so you want to have another source of income coming in. Maybe you're trying to help someone out, right? And you're trying to build a business that just grows and grows and grows, a franchise. You want to be the next Amazon, which would be quite difficult, but you want to be, you want to be the new unicorn in the rough. You want to be the one that sails high. So start to think plan and how you're going to maintain your website so it doesn't drop, it doesn't kind of corrupt and go wrong. Make sure you've got a backup. I cannot stress this enough because nearly every day there is someone on the Elementor group or the Elementor community. They've got a problem with their website. They've, updated their plugin. They've installed something. They had someone change something. The website's gone down. And one of the first things I will say to them, other than regenerate your CSS, purge your cache, purge your mem cache on your server as well. But one of the things I will say to them is use your backup, load up your backup. And they go, I haven't got a backup. And I don't know how to respond sometimes because I don't want to come over as like, well, what do you mean you haven't got a backup? But in my head, I am thinking, what do you mean you haven't got a backup? And often their host has. It's just when they're purchasing their server or their hosting, you get told that there's like all of these things that you're going to get with your host. But often people just care about the price, right? What am I paying a month? Do I get free email? Do I get SSL certificate? Yeah, cool. I get all that. Let's just go and use it. Double check. Because if your host already does a backup for you, great. There's no reason you can't do a second or third option as well alongside that, but at least have a backup in place, okay? And I just find it a little bit, you're living dangerously if you have not got a backup on your website. 12 years ago, okay, even 15 years ago, back as far back as then, it was very common for your website to get attacked, malware. It was quite a common thing. I don't know if people out there if you've been building websites for that long, it used to happen a lot. And you had to spend a good amount of time getting it sorted out. You'd be on the phone to the hosting provider or whoever. So do please make sure you've got that covered off. Now, I am going to ask, look, has anyone got any questions or anything that anyone wants to share or talk about in terms of performance of your website? Or would you like me to start looking at another area? Because I don't want to kind of go over again a lot of the things I've talked about in terms of performance, because there's only so much we can talk about really in terms of the website. But page speed insights, Google Search Console, checking for your typos, checking backlinks, domain authority, checking your contact forms work, checking your plugins, make sure they're up to date, or maybe do not update them. All right. And I'm not defending Elementor, by the way. Okay. But don't rush to blame Elementor if you update as soon as they do an update and it throws your site. There's a wobble. Because it happens if you've got other Elementor add-ons or you're not using the Hello theme. It happens, okay? Always have a backup. Use a staging site as well, okay? But just my recommendation is whenever Elementor have an update, wait 2 to 3 weeks, okay? And then do the update. Because by that time, you will know if there's any issues or anything you need to worry about, yeah? But if you are finding, though, that you're struggling to maintain your website, do reach out to us. We'd love to support you. I'm not here, by the way, I'm not selling you any products, okay? I'm just letting you know that if you feel you're struggling and you need to understand a bit more, let us know and we'll talk about it in one of our live chats, or we'll create a video. So, example, John. I don't need to use John as an example here, but I hope you don't mind, John. But after our live chat last week, he posed a question, and we created a video to kind of answer that question and go a bit more deeper as well. It was about inline positioning and custom positioning. Okay, and it's one of my favorite features now. I use the custom positioning when I'm trying to reduce the amount of columns I use. But please do ask us a question. So John has said that you've given us a lot to think about and things we need to do to keep our site functioning now and in the future. Thank you. John does not sound like that. Okay, I don't think John does. I think John probably would have said it in a much nicer tone. But I'm just pretending that right now John is sat there with a glass of wine enjoying this video and he is punching the air. Thank you. But yeah, it is true. It's a lot of what I'm sharing with you is stuff that I'll be honest, I did not consider. Okay. I used to overlook, not the backups. I always was sure about backups, but I did overlook things like keywords, backlinks, testing the contact form. Okay. And I would say do it after this video. Please do go and just test your contact form. Okay. Check you get the email and it goes through okay. In fact, check it on your WooCommerce store if you have a WooCommerce store. Okay. Imagine you're a customer. Imagine you're someone who's going to buy something. Create a product which is, say, 50 pence or whatever, or 50 cents, or the cheapest price you can do. Okay, and stick it on WooCommerce, but stick it under a category that no one else can see. All right, call it the dummy fake category, whatever. No one can see it except you. You know where it is. And just test out the flow. Go to your website, go to the product, purchase it. Did the price go through? Did you get the email? Did you get any follow-on email from PayPal or whatever? Did you get a thank you page? Did you go through all of the funnels or the flow that you put in place? Did it work? Because if at any point there's a glitch and it does not work, there's a good chance it's affecting other people too. If you're going to do a coupon code, test it out. So, don't just watch a YouTube video where someone goes, hey, this is how you add a coupon code, like one of the ones we did. You go, job done. And we go, yeah, like and subscribe, lovers. Ooh. You do that, you think you've achieved it, but unless you test it, okay? Because if you're a brand new shop and someone comes, your very first customer comes to purchase something off you, and there's a problem and you've lost them, you're now waiting for your next customer. And it could be tomorrow, next week, 10 years down the line, okay? But if one customer buys and it is successful, there's a chance they might come back again. There is a chance they might tell someone about your website. Put your social sharing icons on, okay? I don't just mean yours. Don't just tell people about Facebook and LinkedIn and where you exist. No, put the icons on so they can share your products to their audience. A lot of people overlook this, and I don't quite understand why. So on your product page, you can have sharing icons for Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, whatever. That means they are going to share your product, your page, your consultancy, your doner kebab, your Big Mac cheeseburger. I'm feeling hungry now. They can share all of that to their social media audience. So again, make sure that works. Test it out. Go in as a user, click all the buttons, okay? Don't just assume that because you stuck it on, it works, okay? Because there have been times where we've built websites and we test it, and for some reason it doesn't work, and you got to play around with it. Or we've been asked to review someone's website. Did you know I get asked about 4 or 5 times every day to review someone's website? I get a Facebook message. And I go in and I don't just review the page. I look at the page speed insights. I look at the sharing icons. I look at the flow. I'll test their contact form. They don't realize I'm doing all of this. When I'm saying to them, you've overlooked all of this, and they go, oh, yeah. Well, no one's told me. You can go on and do a lot of the homework for this. Jan, yeah, so he says that in one of the previous videos, we said something about Elementor working on an update for editing WooCommerce checkout pages. Yes. So Shop Engine, which he's mentioned as well. I used that for the first time last week when we did our WooCommerce video, which has gone down really, really well. Shop Engine is an extra plugin. It allows you to really, really customize the cart and checkout pages. Complete maneuver things around. You can also do it for the single product and the shop pages. It's a little bit more fiddly because when you try and view it, you do get an error saying this content is not valid, but it can be done. But it's really good for cart and checkout. Now, very, very soon, I cannot give you a specific date, but Elementor are going to be doing a pretty big update for mega menus. I cannot wait for mega menus and cart and checkout editing as well. So Shop Engine has been completely built to kind of be worked with Elementor. I hope anyone who's used Shop Engine, it's free. Shop Engine is free for WooCommerce. It allows you to do so much, and it's totally free, but it's completely built within Elementor the way it works, which is why it's kind of so good. It uses templates, and you build what you need to do. Elementor is going to be kind of going down the same line, except it's now completely in Elementor. And I really hope that they have, well, they're already working on it, and I really hope that they've kind of double-checked what Shop Engine have done, and I know they are, by the way. It's not like they're not. And they're going to take all the good stuff that Shop Engine do and go further, especially with, and I'm sure you're thinking this, but with the optimization. Do you remember I mentioned inodes earlier about how a basic website can suck up 9,000 inodes? The minute you add WooCommerce, you're now close to 20,000 inodes before you've added a single product. As soon as you install WooCommerce, you're hitting 20,000 inodes. You're going, what? It's just because WooCommerce is a very heavy plugin. So I really hope that within this, when they do add the functionality, there is something that is able to kind of reduce the amount of bloat that WooCommerce adds on as well. So I can't tell you at the moment about exactly what they're doing, but I would not be surprised if it's going to be a step up from Shop Engine. Because you do know that, all of these add-ons that come out for Elementor, all it is they take Elementor, they then add in some JavaScript or some CSS code or whatever on top of what is already there to do something else. There's a plugin called Site Origins CSS. Site Origins CSS. It's a plugin. You open up an Elementor page, and then you go, I want it, instead of being here, I want it to be here like this, and I want to break out the slider. I want to break some of the components apart. It will allow you to do that, and it shows you how to do that. All of these add-ons, Shop Engine, all of them, are just taking Elementor and doing something on top of it. So if they're able to do that, you can bet your money that when Elementor do the cart and checkout add-on, and it is coming very, I don't want to say September, but I think we're not far off the September date. That is going to have basically, I think, all of that stuff and more. So I'm dead excited. I can't wait because we don't use many mega menus. And when we do it, we have a video on how to do it. It's using Maxime. Maxime is an amazing guy in the Elementor forum for creating tricks on how to do stuff. And I took his tips and I took it a step further in how to do a mega menu. And yeah, it's great. It doesn't take long. It's about 10 minutes of your time. Anyone can do it. But if it came natively with Elementor, carts, checkouts, mega menus, and other things that they are looking into, by the way, with regards to reducing bloat within Elementor, I think it just means that it's less plugins for us, right? Because Shop Engine, it's free. If WooCommerce already adds on 10,000 innodes before I've even added on a product. Every time you add on another WooCommerce plugin, you're just adding on more and more onto the website, aren't you? And if you've got a shared server like SiteGround and you're paying, I don't know, £200 or whatever a year for it, if a website takes up a lot of innodes, your server can only hold so many websites, right? So I've worked out that if we had 0 e-commerce stores, we could probably hold close to 40 websites on a server. If we had all of them were e-commerce, then we're pushing 18 websites. Okay. So depending on what your business model is, just have a think about that. Don't know if that answered your question, Jan. You know, I am the most rubbish person at giving succinct answers. I kind of go, I need to give you a complete easies on this answer, but I hope that helps you a little bit. So John said, is there a way to remove those pesky innodes? Yeah, that's roughly how. Do you know what? I often do forget. Is it 1N or 2N? And I have to keep checking. I think it's 1N. I always forget this because yeah, I do. I think it's 1N from the server database. So if you use SiteGround, okay, there is a way to remove them. You have to flush. You flush your cache, it will take some out, but you need to flush the OP cache. O for orange, P for Papa cache, OP cache, right? Deleting them in SiteGround is a very, very onerous process. Okay, you can't just go in and click a setting and it's gone. There's about 20 odd steps you got to go through. And I'm not kidding you. You've got to download files, rename files, upload files. You've got to do quite a lot of bit, and it is a little bit tricky. And I hate about 6 months ago, I used to do it quite regularly, and in the end, I just stopped because I now manage the content of the websites. But if you don't want to do it yourself, speak to your host. They don't always like to do it either. They will say to you, well, what's the point? They're gonna, you might have deleted the innodes, but they're going to regenerate anyway. And they give you all this technical spiel. And I kind of go, don't care, just delete it. So ask them, okay, they might do it for you, but it is a little bit annoying. Sorry. One tip I would give you is, let me just share the screen. Let me share the screen. Let me just share this. Share. Here we go. Right. So if you were to go to media on your WordPress, okay, whenever I do a new installation or a new website, okay, can you see here all of these settings? Is it clear? Is it going to be clear? Let me just try and make this screen bigger. Let me do that. There we go. That's probably not even that bigger, is it? I'm not sure that's really made a difference. But the width, the height, for the thumbnail, the medium, and the large size, I've set all to 0. I've even unticked this option here, crop thumbnail to exact dimensions, and organize it to I've unticked 0, 0, 0, 0. Why have I done that? Right. The reason I've done that, I'm just going to bring myself back. Hello, I'm back. The reason I do that is I don't want WordPress to instantly create a copy of my image using all of these sizes. You might not know this, but when you add in an image, WordPress behind the scenes is going to create a thumbnail copy, the original copy, medium-sized copy, a large copy, and sometimes, without you knowing it, an extra large and an extra large copy as well. So you got like 6 to 7, 8 copies of one image. In your media library, you'll only see one image. But your innodes at the back have gone and added in about 8. So you've got 100 images. That's actually now 800. 800 innodes. Gone. Sucked up. And you didn't even realize that. So when I add in an image, if I'm very particular about the size of the image and how it's going to be presented on Elementor, I don't need to have multiple sizes. So I will untick all of those options, set them to 0. When I add it in, there's not so many taken up. We are now down to the last 30 seconds, everybody. This has been really good fun, and I'm really thank you, everyone, for asking your questions. There is still time to ask some more questions if you so want. I won't drop off straight away if there's another question coming in. But I hope you enjoy this. I hope you enjoy the videos we're putting out there on YouTube. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. um, LinkedIn as well. Please do, when you look at our videos, the links are there. Please do join in. Please do let other people know about us as well. I mean, we're not at the stage yet where we're giving away freebies and stuff like that. But maybe one day we will start to do something like that. Just not yet. But look, I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you found it useful. And we're going to go away and have a think now about what we're going to be looking at next week. But please do join in, and um, we love to share. We love to help. It's why we're here. We want to get the best out of Elementor for you, your clients, your businesses, and just to make you feel happy and confident with everything you're doing. So I'm going to sign out now, and I'm going to say thank you for being here, and we shall see you. I'm trying to get my mouse to be the end stream button. We shall see you soon.